My main focus of teaching is to executive students here, where I teach the analysis of financial statements. And a lot of my research is in that area too. I'm fascinated by questions around financial performance and also the impact of the macroeconomy on company behavior. And that leads me in turn to have done a lot of work on takeovers. A feature of the UK, or we think it's a feature of the UK, but in fact it's something we're seeing in all the developed economies, is an increasing anxiety about foreign ownership of companies and foreign takeovers of foreign companies taking over some of our biggest and most important companies. So in recent years, when US Kraft bought Cadbury, there was an enormous emotional outpouring in the UK. A few years later, a couple of years ago, Pfizer bid for AstraZeneca with a similar debate. Most recently, David Cameron, the Prime Minister, announced to everybody's surprise that he was going to protect BP going forward against any foreign takeover. Now this led to an immediate response from the Financial Times, who thundered, no, it's none of David Cameron's business. These are issues entirely for the shareholders. And that is precisely the theme of my paper, because in this paper, I investigate this very British belief that takeovers should be only left to the shareholders and that government should not intervene. You cannot generalize about foreign takeovers. Some are potentially asset stripping and destructive to the economy. Some, and many, I think, in the UK case, have been the making of the modern UK economy. So how can we tell the difference between the two? Well, what we're looking for is good owners. Good owners are people who take a long-term view, understand the value of the skills, the human capital, the know-how, and the intangible assets that they're acquiring, and will invest in those to deepen them and build them. A great example of this would be Tata Motors. Jaguar and Land Rover, the two separate businesses, had a very troubled history over many years, coming out of the collapse of the national UK car industry. They were bought and brought together again by Tata Motors, an Indian company, in 2005. And since then, Tata has turned this business into the world's most successful automobile company. It's the most profitable company in the world in that industry, and it's incredibly fast growing. How did they do it? Well, they are good owners in my sense. They clearly valued what they were getting in terms of intangible assets, skills, British know-how, and they were committed to spending a lot of money, investing more in developing skills and in capital, which is what they've done. And that has a message for companies themselves. So I think if you're working in a business which plans to grow by acquisition, which of course most large successful companies will at some stage or other, and you're going to go cross-border, then if you want to recommend yourself to national governments, you need to think about how you look and how you present yourself. Are we good owners? Do we understand the skills, the intellectual property, the R&D that we're buying? Do we plan to sustain it? Can our word be trusted? Does our past track record support our claim? And in that case, if you come to the UK, you will be welcomed. But I hope that if you don't have that sort of track record, you'll be resisted. And so going back to government's role, I do encourage governments to become more, particularly the UK government that's been uniquely passive in this respect, to become more active and willing to intervene either in public or more covertly to guide the structure of some of these takeovers.